Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand so they can gain lucrative opportunities. And we do that 4 different areas: appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and your digital presence. That's right, the ABCDs. And all the while, we are slaying it, okay? Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, and to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym which stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that really resonate with me the most, which is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, a sense of family, and knowing you are built to last. So, the Slate to Success Talk Show is where I bring in men and women and highlight them on how they are slaying their life on their own terms. And y'all in for a treat. Now, I know that the internet may be buzzing a little bit today, okay, because some of y'all said, wait a minute, you're going to have him on the show. We are going to be here. So if you are here, please let us know where you are streaming in from. Give me a shout out here so I can shout out you as well, because you have decided to spend some time here in this space for a little bit just to hear this conversation. All right. And this is an opportunity for you to share. Okay. Because sharing is caring. And sometimes people need to have the information just as much as you're getting information here. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And I hope everyone is going to stay safe because it's about to snow out here. Okay. It's about to really snow out here. They are really hyping this up, y'all. I'm talking about inches. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in the house. Hopefully, you're going to be in the house if you're here on the East Coast to be safe. We have Miriam in the building, Long Beach, California. Hey, y'all. Hey, Miriam. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, live on the show. So, listen, okay, my guest is my dear friend and my brother in arms. And I know, okay, some of y'all are like, hey, Tracy, how you doing? Thank you so much for being here on tonight's show live. I appreciate you for showing up, Queen. And we also got Chevy in the building. My sister from another mister is here. How you doing, Queen? Thank you so much for showing up as well. Natalie's in the building. How you doing? Hola. Okay, now this is the boss right here. Okay, so Natalie Castille is the boss, and you will find out why. Okay, so I will share with you here in a little bit. Chevy is joining in from Alabama. All right, and Miriam says the man, the myth, the legend, and the wifey. Okay, giving all a shout out. Hey, Allison, how you doing? She is from Charleston Air Force Base. She's tuning in. She's getting ready to PCS y'all overseas. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Allison. And thank you for your service, Queen. Okay, because I know that there's a lot going on. All right. And Donnell is in the building. Let's go. You know we're going tonight. Okay. We are going to get there because I'm going to tell you right now, y'all are showing up for my guest, okay, and giving him all this love and support. And let me just tell you who I have in for tonight. I have Dr. Keith Castille, okay, and he, along with his wife, Natalie, which I just called out, is the co founder of C2H, which is Connecting Heads to Hearts organization. And he has developed and honed skills in transformational leadership, organizational culture, instructional system design, and workforce education. His mission is to empower each generation of leaders to thrive in a complex yet dynamic world. Having served in the United States Air Force for close to 29 years, he garnered experience in leading large teams, managing force development, talent management, and critical programs for a workforce of 689,000 people, y'all. that ultimately armed him with unique skills to problem solve and find solutions to a wide range of human resources dilemmas. Now, Keith arises daily with a purpose, y'all, focused on teamwork, grit, integrity, excellence, and innovation. So I want y'all to give a round of applause for my friend, okay? Because I'm bringing him to the stage. Listen, Casey. Yeah.
When you was doing the bio thing, I felt like I was about to fight Mike Tyson or somebody. I was in the background just getting let's go. We about to,
You're like getting ready, like you're about to get the fight on. You're like, yes, like that's me.
oh
Like,
yeah.
come on, Casey. Come on. You've got folks up here showing up. We've got greetings. She's tuning in from the DMV, which is my another sister from another Mr. Jeba is in the building. So thank you, Queen, for being here tonight. And Donnell said, Dr. Casey is the truth.
My brother.
Okay.
Dynamic.
He
Yeah.
he is coming up, and I'm telling you, I had Donnell on the show probably like maybe a month ago or so, and he gave out some lot of gems as well. Chevy has been on the show too, so we are in good company tonight, and I just want to welcome you here to the show, and I just absolutely love what you and your wife Natalie, because Natalie is part of all this as well. Um, are doing. So, first of all, how you doing? How's everything going?
Look, I'm just minding my business and staying moisturized. That's it. That's what I'm doing.
Stay moisturized. Okay. Okay. Well, sometimes that's what needs to
That's
happen,
it.
right?
That's how we start. Hey, but Rochelle, I look, first off, Happy New Year.
Happy New
Um,
Year.
Happy New Year to you. And start of the new year, I want to say this. I'm going to give you your flowers because woman, I have been watching you over the last 2 years, your collaborations, your connections, you giving people a platform. I mean, there's people online right now that just chimed in. Look, you've connected me with, right? And has changed my life. So I want to say thank you for being who you are. Thank you for slaying. And look, I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the connections that you have brought within my life. So thank you so much. And I love you for that, sis.
Listen, the love is mutual. Um, this is a family affair. Once we create these platforms outside of the uniform and we're able to do it together without, worrying about who's getting what, this, that, and the third, all the amazing opportunities, they just start flowing.
Yeah.
So that's my belief has always been that way. And so I'm just so grateful that you are here tonight because this
Yeah.
is going to be a treat, not only for our audience, but for me, selfish. I'm being very selfish, y'all. Okay. Because I've seen you are growing, you are getting after some things that are very, unique and yet you're very passionate about. So tell the audience a little bit about Casey. Like,
All
who
right.
is Casey?
Look, KC is a guy from Lafayette, Louisiana. I love to always say from, home of the world's largest crawfish boy, if you know anything about crawfish. Oh, the bio part, right? Came into the Air Force, at 18 years old, left home, never been away from home ever. And the Air Force changed my life. And after 29 years, the Air Force, we parted ways in a good way, right? Retirement.
Yeah, yeah.
And let me tell you, it's I always say this, people either running towards something or they run away from something. And I would say
Mm,
in my life, it was both. And I ran from something, but I also found something. And the Air Force prepared me, I believe, after 29, close to 29 years of service, it prepared me to be the man I am today.
yeah.
Um, if I were to sum up, who am I right now, and what am I trying to do, I would say this, and this comes from advice from some very smart people out there. They said, hey, as soon as you retire, it's not that you are, you're not a chief anymore, right? So learn to
Mhm.
de-chief and
Yep.
learn to know who you are, your identity, your belonging. So the last 8 months, I retired in June, so you're talking what, 7, 8 months.
It just
And
seems like it was
majority of
yesterday.
yeah, and the majority of that time has been focused on who I want to become and who I need to be for my family. And that has been the most important for me. Yeah, I can tell you about the business. I can tell you about 1,000 other things I'm trying to put my hands into. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be the best version of who I can be for my family because, last 29 years has been devoted to, getting the mission done, focusing on a whole bunch of other things, which was important.
Yep.
And now I had to refocus and really hone in on, on things that are important to me post, military life. I'm
Yeah.
a father, I'm a grandfather too. So I'm passionate about life. And like you read, I wake up every single day excited. My wife hates it. you know, I'm like, what we doing? What we doing? She's like, heck no. You better tone that crap down.
Man, you said some really great things, and speaking to our service, right? And we had all these other things that we were focused on. And now, as we transition, we can now really spend some quality time with our friends, our families, our loved ones, and really find out who we are.
Yeah.
What do we like, what we don't like, how do we want to make our day? And it does take some reprogramming, or if you will, because we were conditioned for so many years. And now, being able to find our way outside of the uniform, you know, for those that dare to do that, the
Mhm.
things that are there for us is so endless. The possibilities are endless, right? We've got Tammy here. I want to recognize that Tammy is in the building. Okay, Queen, and Rodney. Okay, because they both
Right.
in here. They both representing. So thank you for being here, Bryant's Team Bryant. And then we got Key up in here. Okay. Key said, what a way to kick off the new year. You know how we doing it. Okay, Key. All right. So thank you for being here live with us tonight, y'all. Because we're really gonna get a little bit into this conversation about transitioning. Right. So you said that you're focusing on the family piece to that, more so than the business. So, what things are you actually doing to ensure that you are staying focused on family?
Well, one, I consult with my wife for everything.
Mm.
And let me tell you, and I must say this, I make mistakes every single day. So I'm not getting it right. I'm telling you right now. So I messed up last night. I had directions to go to one place and we end up in Baltimore. So let me tell
Oh
you,
no.
I think for me, I think the focus really is I saw my wife being so happy, right? There's a transition time, or there is this demarcation line, if you will, where you have to make a decision. And that decision, when it was time to think about retirement, and let me tell you, that's something I didn't want to do. I want to wear the uniform right now if I could. I'm telling you right now, if I could, right?
Really?
But there were options, right? There were options on the table, and I looked at my wife and I saw how happy she was in the job
Mm,
she was in, and I felt that if I made another move,
yeah.
that move would have been selfish. And
Yeah.
so when I looked at her being happy, I said, how can I duplicate that every single day?
Oh,
How can I make sure that she's someone that when she wakes up, that she knows that she's the most important person in my life. And so when you ask the question of, well, what do I do? I'm going off of her. I'm going off of her energy. Look, if she hype, I'm hype. If she's sad, I'm hype her. So let's roll with it, right? That's what I'm doing. It's nothing that I'm doing that's intentional, that's forced. I'm just focused on her happiness. And if
yeah.
she's happy, she's gonna show me. If she's upset about something, she's gonna let me know. My youngest son, he lives with us. He just finished his bachelor's. He's moved back and he's getting his master's now at George Mason. So it's seeing them every single day, seeing them thrive in their space at the same time, giving me the space to build this company.
Yeah. I think that's so important. That's key to, like, the sustainment of a relationship. It's different when you were in uniform than when you're out, right? And there are some adjustments that are needed to make to ensure that you have a healthy relationship and that you're listening to your partner and balancing, which is not really the balance, if you will, but appreciating what you have and being grateful, because a lot of people, as we know, when they retired, they couldn't say that their family was sitting there in front. I
Yeah.
saw a lot of families being broken while in service. And so having your family there and knowing that they're going to be by your side
Yeah.
after retirement, that's a whole nother thing that, I realized I paid more attention to more so than ever. So I actually can relate and resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah. But it's self-inflicted though.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we've been married. We just made 7 years.
Yeah.
Um, and I will tell you, I forgot how beautiful my wife was because we in the grind, right? And
Oh,
and think about your husband, looking at him one day and be like, that's a handsome fella, right?
yeah.
But we forget how beautiful, we forget those things, or we just get complacent. And I
Yeah.
remember having that conversation, and I'm looking at her one day. I'm like, man, this woman is beautiful. What am I doing, right? And
How did I
so
get here?
but it's self-inflicted. It's
Yeah.
self-inflicted. And so what I tell folks now, when I especially in the coaching side, I tell folks, look, man, put as much emphasis on the mission as much as you need to with the family. And I said
Yeah.
there are times when you're not going to be 100 here, but you know what? But when the time does prepare you to be 100% there, be 100% there, because that's where I fail. And so I'm
Yeah.
going to share the things I failed. I failed at that, and I want to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all want to do better, especially when we retire. One of the phrases that I use now more than ever is I get to. It's
Mm.
not like I have to do this, because AJ's in basketball and
Yeah.
he's doing all his own thing, right? Instead of like when I was in service, like I gotta go take him here, or I gotta go pick him up, and or I gotta do this. Now I'm like, I get to. Okay. And so when you change the framework of especially the language that we use, it makes it much richer, and the enjoyment of I have a family, I have
Yeah.
people, okay, who love me, who want to see me do well. Okay. So that's really the beauty of family life, if you will. We've got Chevy says knowing to choose family first after choosing service for many years is vital to our family success. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so, as you have seen this change and you've noticed that Natalie is more beautiful than she's ever been in retirement, um, where was the shift? There's a mindset shift that has to happen when you retire, um, where you start to explore. So you have been in exploration for probably about 8 months now. So what have you discovered outside of the family dynamic?
Yeah. I'm gonna go off of one of our good friends who said this, and are you as good as you thought you were, right? Or
Mm.
with all those things that you read beforehand said, right?
Mhm.
I would start off by saying that when I retired, there were job offers,
Yeah.
and you know how the job offers come, right? And you're there and
Yeah.
you're looking at these offers, and let me tell you, there's two moments I remember in my life that I was the most scared. It was when I graduated high school, because there was nothing planned. I played basketball. There was nothing planned. I remember my stepdad gave me $20 and was like, "Hey, what you gonna do?"
Money
And, oh,
buzz.
look, $20. I don't know what I was gonna do with that back then, but that was $20.
Right.
And when I retired, because I knew there was a lot of things I wanted to do,
Yeah.
but because the Air Force armed, and this, the Air Force, the military will arm you with so many tools,
Mhm.
but you got to know which tool you're going to use. And,
Yes.
and if you're trying to create a business, you got to know which tool is going to feed your family, right?
Yeah.
And I felt, and I say this humbly, I felt that the God, the Air Force has prepped me for something. I feel that's going to be amazing. That's amazing, and giving
Yeah.
me some resources, giving me some tools. But these job offers just didn't sit with me right, because it wasn't going to allow me to do the things that I felt that God had put in my place, put in my
Mhm.
path, and I turned down a few because it didn't sit right with me. And then I realized at a certain point is that when I look back at my career, the jobs I was in, from the professional pharmacy of excellence, traveling the world, one of the, very select few to do this for 3.5 years, where all I did was travel, teach leadership, go through hours and hours of training, right? And to be
Yeah.
able to do that at that scale, I'm like, I'm watching everyone else go out there and create these leadership development consulting businesses. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 3.5 years, right? But the job, the tactical work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, let me transfer that. And then I realized that's my identity. That's where I belong. I
Mm.
don't belong in a cubicle. I
Yeah.
remember how COVID hit me hard, and it was hard not being around people. And I said, my job is to be able to build a team and build a team to go and do great work for humanity, great work for other businesses, help organizations. And then just recently, redefining, what we do within the business.
Yeah.
Because I'm thought at some point, hey, all we're going to do is leadership development, the best in leadership development. These are the things we're going to focus, curriculum, boom, boom, boom. And then an opportunity come to go to Africa. And then
Yeah.
I'm in Africa, sitting in Africa, like, wait, a job that I did in the Air Force for 2.5, 3 years of building policy,
Hmm.
they're asking me to do this in Africa.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'm not just going to be in the leadership development business. I'm going to be in the policy business. I'm going to be in educate. I'm going to be in prison reform. I'm going to be in all these different areas, because at the end of the day, it's all leadership, just
Yeah.
different muscles. And
Yeah.
so that's the answer to your question. Every day I'm redefining. Every day my team is thinking of new things. And to be honest with you, look, tomorrow I might be selling cars. I don't know.
Look, you be selling all these types of cars. We be buying it. All right, because
Look,
we know where your heart is, and I just love the fact that you're just being very flexible and fluid with the opportunities, and not just getting set on this is what I got to be doing. All right, like I think a lot of us when we retire, we see like we're just this one dimensional, and we're not. We're got all these different talents, these skills, these expertise that we have been trained to do. And I would venture to say, Keith, that it wasn't just the 3 years of you being in pace and doing the job for years,
mm,
okay,
you're right.
decades
Mhm,
of doing a lot of different and just we're in different situations.
mhm.
We're looking at, the plan, and then when it doesn't go right, we have to instantly problem solve, and come up with options A, B, C, D, E, F. So those are the things that you have been able to do. And I think that's why I think as veterans make great entrepreneurs,
Oh, I
great
agree.
entrepreneurs. And that wasn't really something that was talked about. Like when I retired, people weren't coming to me and telling me, hey, you can be an entrepreneur. I just kind of fell into it, you know? And so when you're offered like these six-figure jobs and saying, hey, you can come over here and work for us. And then when you talked about what they said about us in those reports,
Mhm,
how do they refer to us? We could walk on water. So
mhm.
why can't we build something on our own with the skill set that we have? And this is
Yeah,
all about betting on ourselves, right? This is about taking a leap of faith because there's a lot of risk involved.
yeah. But it's also being true with yourself too, because years ago, when I joined, I would say at my 4-year point, right? I I told myself, I said, hey, I want to do X amount of time in the Air Force, and then I'm going to get out. I would love to wear a suit and tie. I would love to be in corporate, right? And I said
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
so now I can have that opportunity. I may not have to do it, on somebody else's clock, but I can still wear that suit and tie on my own. But that's something I always wanted to do. And
Yeah.
but here's the biggest problem with all that. At certain points, when you ask about the transition and the thoughts, that imposter syndrome was heavy and hard,
Oh, yeah.
because you talk about the 29 years of skills, the things that you have touched, and I told this to someone yesterday. Every single person is unique in their
Yeah.
own right, and they
Yeah.
have something that no one else can touch, right? But there's a way in which that imposter syndrome tells you you're not good enough, or that's not for you. Oh,
Mm,
everybody else is doing it. How are you going to do it? How are you going to be, in every single negative thought that you can think of, you kind of run through it. And that's the fear. And that's
yeah,
only fear talking.
yeah. So how have you been able to counter that?
Prayer. Totally honest, prayer. I would say for months. And that's the thing, when you pray and you don't get an answer, you don't you don't stop praying. You better keep
Right,
praying.
right.
And I would say probably 90 days in, God just revealed. Sorry, my light. God just revealed, like it just revealed, right? It was like, hey, this is the route you should be taking. But then the puzzle pieces started to come together. Because let me tell you something about, and go not to make this about my wife, but when your spouse is behind you 100% in things
Oh,
that you
yeah.
believe in, that's a game changer.
It's a
Now,
game changer.
if you by yourself on an island trying to figure this thing out, that's even harder.
It
And
is.
and this is something I shared openly with my team, is that every person that I called on my team, God has led me to call them specifically
Mm,
for a certain reason, right?
yeah,
And every single one of them who took my call, every single one of them is on the team.
yeah,
Not one turned it down, right? And I
yeah.
said, hey, I don't know if you ever heard of this. This is an old folk tale, but a guy was heading out in the 1800s out west and said, hey, this is a hard job. We're looking for X amount of people to come and do this job. You won't get paid. You're going to be hungry. You might die. That ad had so many people come to that particular ad and want to do the job. Why? Because it was exciting, and it was something that they can look forward to, right? And it
Yeah,
give them purpose. And
yes,
I tell you, with her backing and the purpose, and God saying this is the way you go,
yeah,
that was my shift. And let me tell you something. That's when I got re-hungry. That's the problem with us. We lose our hunger because everything is good when you're getting you're getting that paycheck on the first and 15th.
yeah,
In this business, you may not get a check, in a couple of days, or between gigs. But hey, you make money. Some days you don't make money, right? But when
yeah,
you're hungry, when you wake up every single day at 5:30, and you're back on the grind, you
yeah,
back on it.
yeah,
That's when you know you're hungry. That's when you know you're purposeful driven.
yeah. I absolutely, I know if Dominique wasn't behind me on all the things that I'm doing, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish any or half of the things. And it is important that our partners, our spouses, our loved ones, they understand what we're getting ourselves into. CEO business is different than being in a 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so it takes a lot of effort at times. It's not like you got to be on the grind all day, every day. But like you said, we out there hunting for, what we're going to do to bring money into our businesses. So it's a little bit of a different way that you approach what we're doing. And you do have to have the right support behind you. Because there's some days where I'm in here and you, like you said, when I ask you what you do as far as the imposter syndrome, it's important that everyone has a tool, a way to cope through that, because I think that happens for many people, regardless of whether or not you've worn the uniform. You could be in corporate space and then go into business and still have that. So I love that tool. I pray a lot, because it's a lot of, you have to ask yourself if this is what I want to do. But then when you see the impact that you're making, and you're like, flying to Africa, like, who does that? Who gets to do that, right? And so that is what's going to keep you motivated. Now, I've got several comments here. So Chevy says, we thrive on developing others and making a bigger impact. Absolutely. Because she's in the same space. So she knows exactly what you're speaking to. Miriam's clapping for Natalie because, that's what we're doing. All right. And Dr. X is in the building. Thank you for being here live with us tonight, Dr. X. And he's another powerhouse. Okay, y'all. So if you're not
Heck,
connected to him, make sure you
yep.
connect to him on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Okay. He says it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's what you do with what you know and who knows you. Okay, can I get an A to the minute in here?
Man, I'm putting it on a t-shirt. Dr. X, that's going on a
Right,
t-shirt, brother.
exactly. Like, let's like break this down just for a minute. It's what you do with what you know and who knows you. I tell you, I mean, when you start to really think of how you go about doing your business, it's a whole another level. So, here we talk about like leadership, which we've talked a little bit through that, right? Mindset work, because that's always something that we have to focus on. Let's talk about a little bit about wellness. Okay. Like, what does your wellness look like right now? Okay. And did it change from when you were in the military and now since you've been retired?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Let me tell you, I made poor decisions while I was in. I'm gonna tell you, from sleep to everything else, and even just controlling my weight, and because
Mhm.
you're worried about the PT test right now. You don't have any more PT tests. So one thing has been my focus is getting up and going to the gym. So really, new year, new me, right? But me and the wife, we started, I would say, roughly a month and a half ago, at least for me, where I'm getting up every single day. I have a goal. I have a goal by March. I have a certain milestone, and by the summer, I have a milestone. Look, I want to fit into a two-piece by the summer. And I'm just telling you right now,
You
that's
want
my
to
goal.
do these?
I'm just joking. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Oh,
but
Lord.
but I also think that that's the physical side, right?
Yeah.
The mental side is praying, it is reading, it is doing the work to do the research on
Yeah.
everything that I want to do, especially on the company side. I can tell you, meeting Donnell and sitting up in Veterans Growing America on a Saturday, me and him changed the world one day, right? We were
Yeah.
just sitting there just thinking of stuff, right? But here's what he giving me, right? In a 20-minute conversation, he gave me about 20 resources on how I can build my business and take it to the next level, right?
Mm.
And part of that mental, and I say mental, is because if you're not doing the work, you're putting
Yeah.
more stress on yourself. If you're
Mm.
not savvy about what's out there and what you can and what the possibilities are, what your pain points will be, it is going to tear you down mentally because you're not going to be in the place. And so
Yeah.
part of my mental focus is doing the research every single day. Part of
Mm.
my spiritual fitness and something I posted just recently, I wanted the world to know, look, hey, me and my wife, we got saved, right? And
Yeah.
we got baptized,
Yeah.
so something that we were doing in private with our Lord and Savior, right? We decided to share with the world. Why? Because that's important to us, and our friends, man. Just last night we was in Baltimore with friends, just hanging out and having a good old time, celebrating a birthday. Those are things that we do purposefully, and it's all for the other pillars of fitness, right? We focus on every single one of those. Now, I say intentional now is because I control my schedule.
Yeah.
8 months ago, I didn't control my schedule.
That's right.
But when you control your schedule, you can put a little more emphasis on the things that you care about. And one thing I would say is it's all self-induced, because you will put the time and effort and the money what you find is important, and those things I was not finding as important at certain times in my career. And so now I am more focused on it, because let's be real, we go home, we see friends that we haven't seen in a while, and our friends are, they're dying at 40 and 50 years old. And it's not just because of health, it's mental health, it's not being connected, it's all those things.
Yeah. Um,
Kim say she want to get into a one piece,
yeah,
right?
Kim, shout out, Queen. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, because she is going to bring it as well. So thank you for being here live. And Rico is in here and he's given a lot of comments too. So welcome, Rico, to the space. Love to have you here on our live show.
Rico, that
Um,
guy.
yeah, I think, wellness for me, I really wasn't paying too much attention to it besides what they showed us when we were in the Air Force, which was the physical, emotional, spiritual, um, pillars and the social pillars. But they forgot that there were other aspects, or not even forgot, they just didn't focus on intellectual, environmental, financial, occupational. Like these are other dynamics of wellness that truly you have to think about and have goals for each one of those so that way you're showing up in the best versions of yourself, like from a holistic point of view. And so I absolutely love that you told the whole world that you believe in your Lord Jesus Christ. Hey, we got baptized. This is my value. This is what we stand for. This is when you come to us. This is part of the life in which we are designing for ourselves. And, for me, I feel like that is just a beautiful and just a statement in itself. Like a lot of people probably would have hidden that, especially at our age, because we're at the point now where most of us are in our 50s,
Yes.
and there's a lot of nuances, there's things that are happening in play, and you can decide for yourself what type of life you want.
Mhm.
You
I
know what I
agree with that
mean?
wholeheartedly. Yes.
So, uniform or not, I mean, and that's what we're speaking from. Y'all, we are both veterans up in here. And so, sometimes when we have served for decades, it can get in the way of you pursuing other dreams, goals, passions, aspirations, interest. And so you don't have to just pick the one thing. You can start to really explore and figure out what's out here.
Yeah, and I always say this: it's self-induced. I'm not going to blame, the things that I should have been doing on my, on my occupation. I'm going to blame it on myself because you
Yeah.
spend the money, you spend the time. If you find it important, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
One thing I would tell you is, I remember this. This was 5 years ago. I'm in LA. I'm traveling in LA, and this guy is sitting next to me. He's probably drunk from from the night before. I don't know. We're on this public transportation and we're heading to the airport.
Yeah.
And he just wakes up out of no kidding, dead sleep. He looks at me and he says, if you don't own the building, you don't own the company, right? And I looked at him and I just looked at him like he was crazy. And he said, yeah, I'm talking about business. He said, if you don't do these things, if you have a passion for something, you do it now. You don't wait because you'll find at a certain point in your life you can lose it all. And he just goes on to this big rant. And before he gets off the bus, he says, if you have a dream, he said, don't just dream it. He said, live it. Right. And I remember coming back after that, telling Natalie that. And I said, hey, I'm gonna start this company. I'm gonna start this company. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and so so 4 years ago is when we created, but it was based on that guy's, like crazy out the blue, just sitting on a darn bus, right? And
Yeah.
just dropping gems. If you don't own the building, you don't own the company. I don't know what that part I might ever use in my life, but that's what he said.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? It could have been someone, and I believe in God, talking indirectly through him to just give you the message. It's never
Something.
too, you know what I mean? It's never too late to do something that you've been thinking of doing. I think that's what, another thing that I came to realization is I stopped allowing my age and what other people at my age should be doing, and really defined it for myself on what I
Yeah.
want my legacy to be. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? So I mean that we could have people owning our narrative and
Yes.
telling our story, but that it doesn't have to be that way,
Yeah.
and you get to decide.
And I think that's the cool thing. And I'm watching friends now who's transitioning and who's been through 2 and 3 jobs after transitioning, into retirement, right? And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
And
That
that's
is
okay.
okay.
You know what though? Let me tell you this. When I retired and I saw people do that, I was like, "What are you doing? You got a
Mhm,
job. You're supposed to stay in it for a while." You know what I mean?
mhm,
I was getting all like in my head. And then some few months later, I found myself not doing something that I had, and I
mhm.
just said, yeah, this is not for me. And I realized that Now it's a choice. We didn't get to have a
Yeah.
decision whether or not you were going to stop serving,
Yeah.
unless until it came to your contract, the end of your contract. So now you have the option. And sometimes we're just looking, we're searching, we're seeing,
Mhm.
what is out here. And it's okay. You don't like something for like a, couple months and it's not filling you and it's not giving you a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Don't
But
wait.
that's the conditioning you talked about, right?
Mhm.
We're so focused on this next thing. And we have been programmed that way, right? The next
Yeah.
thing, the next thing, the next thing. And when you retire, it's no longer the next thing. It's the next thing that you create or the next thing that comes your way that you have to
Mhm.
make a decision on if you're going to take it, if you're not going to take it. And what I'm telling folks now when they ask me questions about retiring, I said, look, I say this. I said, take a break.
Take a
Take a
break.
break.
Take a
Um,
break.
some of our friends, they'll go into skill bridge. I didn't do skill bridge
Me neither.
because I knew I needed a break.
Yep.
Especially serving, at the Pentagon the last 3.5 years, we were moving, right? And
Yeah.
I needed that break for me.
Yeah.
But skill bridge is a great thing. But for
Yeah.
me, I knew what I needed at the time. But
Yeah.
don't be afraid. Like just move and shake, move and shake, move and shake. You get that
Yeah.
opportunity.
My head. So y'all, Dominique also served for 30 years, my husband. And when he retired before me, he was out of pocket, if you will. He didn't have a job for 3 years.
Mhm.
He decompressed. He was really trying to figure out what he wants to do. Then he was able to be there for me until I retired. So when we both were fully retired, he decided to go and get into his job that he really wanted to be in. And he said, you know what? You don't have to work.
Mm.
Figure out what you want to do. You know what I mean? And that is the most freeing thing, again, to be told, we good.
Yeah.
Okay, we good. We did service. We were able to accomplish all these things up to this point, and now just take the time that you need to find you, to
Mhm.
regroup, to reconnect, to bring a sense of awareness, because you're right, we
Yeah.
were we
Yeah.
were running
Yeah. I'll tell you
hard.
some of the work I'm doing now is in the space of identity and belonging.
Yeah.
And some folks can think, hey, it's all dealing with suicides and so forth, but it's really what it boils down to is human capital. It's what we believe, the way we think, and how we show up to the world, right? And our
Hmm.
identity, if we
Yeah.
lack that, in our belonging. If we don't belong to something, we're going to
Yeah.
find something that we feel, but even if it's negative, even if it's bad, we're going to belong to that because it's giving us some type of good feeling. So the reason why I bring that up is because the identity changed, but also your belonging in your in groups and who you're part of, like your
Mhm.
circle. My
Mhm.
circle is just a little different now that I'm
It's
I'm
different.
retired, right? The friends I was looking at, when I was in, and they're still great friends, but you also got looked at. You have to expand your friend list, and
Yeah.
sometimes you even have to minimize it because you'll realize like maybe some friends are a little bit too draining. Staying on the call for 4 hours, complaining about your drama and your bit in your life and everything else. Hey, that's maybe that's draining you, but
Somebody else's issue.
yeah, but the point is that but belonging, that in group you have, right? It may be just a little different, and it's okay, to have a different in group when you retire, you transition. You
Yeah.
got to expand that because there are people that have come into my life now, from business partners to business mentors. That if I just kept the same group that I was surrounded by over the last 29 years, I would not be in a place where I'm at today where I can say, man, we're headed to do some pretty amazing things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten there.
No.
But when I first retired, I was only focused on that friend list, right? Who's on my Facebook and who's doing this and who's here. But and maybe it's that person who's not even in business. It's that person sitting in cubicle one that's just open to have a conversation about life, right?
Yeah.
It's opening up and being vulnerable to say, hey, I need some help, or what do you know, and how can we help each other, right? I think
Yeah.
that was a difference for me, especially in the last 3 or 4 months.
I agree. My circle has expanded. And in fact, me and you, we really weren't connected and
Mhm.
towards the until the end of your
Right.
career.
Yeah.
And, going to your retirement ceremony, spending time with you, spending time with the girls, because, we got this community, y'all, where the girls go and do brunch, and, Natalie, she organizes the events. You see that there is a lot more of the uh perspectives, like opinions, and the way that people view things are so much different. And I'm I'm very hungry for that. I'm always looking for who can I meet that is a lot different from me, who has gone through a different path than me, so I can learn from them.
Mhm.
Everyone has something that they can teach or share with someone that you may never even knew about, right? But if you keep your circle so tight with just the people that you know aren't ready to move to the next level where you're trying to go. And again, that's not being mean or hard about it. It's just this is the way of life
Yeah.
sometimes, and how it's designed. As you evolve, so does the people around you evolve.
Mhm.
So I absolutely agree. We've got a question actually. So Amanda, how you doing, Queen? Hey team, loving this
Mhm.
conversation. Looking back, do either of you wish you had retired sooner to start your post-military life? Okay, Casey, you got it first.
I'm going to say no. I cherished all 29, close to 29 years of my military service. Um, Now, I will say this: if you have a retirement, right, check coming in, you also maybe have some disabilities, some other things coming in. Yeah, that's a little enticing when you see that and you're like, man, I should have done this, 4 or 5 years ago. But I will honestly say the 29 years I've served, and I'm just looking back at the last probably 10 years. The
Yeah.
jobs I've had, going from BMT, one of my goals was to work at the Pentagon. I know that's not on everybody's list, but that was one of mine. I want to work in the Pentagon. I want to be at the strategic level doing good work, right? And I say, for me, I was fulfilled in the jobs that I was doing in the Air Force. So I loved it. I believe that I retired when I was supposed to retire.
Mm, yeah. And I too would say the same thing, Amanda. You know, um, a lot of it was I am doing well. Like there were some things at towards the end, as we all know, with the pandemic and George
Mhm.
Floyd, and things were changing from the mission. But I really truly enjoyed being a military member. I don't know how else to describe that. Um, I didn't look back. I have never looked back and said, "Man, I did 30 years. Like I wasted 30 years of my life." It's
Mhm.
just been the opposite. It's been like it was this stepping stone, to where I'm at right now. And I was able to travel and meet new people and just go through different situations, whether good or bad. Each one of those situations taught me something. If it didn't teach me anything about, the people would per se that were involved, it taught things about me
Mhm.
and how much I can handle, where my breaking points were. How can I solve problems for me so I can continue on? So I don't wish that I retired sooner. Um, what I do wish though was that I knew maybe 5 to 7 years before I retired that I was a good communicator. Um, I knew that I wanted to share more with the world. And if I would have tapped in that just a little bit more, then maybe perhaps I would have been able to set myself up in a certain way. But even that thought to me is like, you know what, Queen? You're right where you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't regret not one day of being in service.
But one thing, Rochelle, I would say if I can throw in one thing that I wish I would have done differently,
Yeah.
as you move up in rank,
Yeah.
you start to find people that are like you within that rank.
Yeah.
And a lot of the relationships you create is more transactional as you move up in
Yes.
rank. And you have a few that are you're really connected to. I would tell folks, especially as you're thinking about retiring, or as you kind of focus on this next chapter, just start to be more meaningful and deliberate with the friendships. Be more transformational, with those relationships versus, I think I said transactional. Those
Yeah.
relationships are transactional, but try to be more transformational with it. Try to be more deliberate with those relationships, because at the end of the day, those are individuals that you can possibly do work with, possibly tag team with, and all those different things, because we all have similar skill sets, and probably can do some good work together. That's the thing I would probably do just a little differently if I can go back.
Yeah. Um, I too agree with that. Meaningful relationships. So good evening, Queen. Thank you both for your valuable perspective. 20 years is coming up quick for me, and your girl is tired.
Oh yeah,
Maybe my PCS from the Pentagon soon will help.
it can
Oh
tire
my
you.
goodness.
It can
You
tire
know,
you. It definitely
you
could.
know, you know what I mean? You have options, Queen. All right. So, 20 years is a full career. Okay. It is a mark. And so now you get to decide what best is for you, your family, and how you want to move, right? So, first of all, thank you for your service. I understand wholeheartedly how you feeling right now. But I wish you all the best, because it's a decision, and sometimes it could be a hard decision to make.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
Marcus is in the building. Hey,
Marcus,
Marcus, what's happening? Okay, it's a yes for me. If I knew what I know now, absolutely yes.
I agree.
Oftentimes
Yeah,
we in
I like that.
you know what I'm saying? Oftentimes we unintentionally devalue ourselves. Loved my service experience, and the people, however, wish I had a bet on me sooner.
Mhm.
Yeah, Marcus, I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. And sometimes when I dwell in that,
Mhm.
I can go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I can get myself way down deep in something that I don't even need to be talking about. So I try not to go there. Um, but we do sometimes, again, it's a system, and the system doesn't really share with us, hey, you're worthy, you're great at this. We want to give you more for that. So I hear you. I hear you when I say
I,
that,
I hear it too.
you know. Um, She says, yes, my tribe out here is everything. Yes, you have to. You have to have that tribe. And you have to have the right people in the tribe, and different people in the tribe who are the right people. And I say
Yeah.
that because you do have to have collaborators, mentors, sponsors, cheerleaders. You have to have a variety in the tribe.
Look, you
Um,
can you can have your party friends, you can have your
that's
church
right.
friends, you can
That's
have
right.
my
You
whole
know,
friend is like a big old gumbo. I tell you that much. That's how mine look like.
exactly. You do, because you never know what you're gonna need.
Oh
And
yeah,
so if you're gonna reach out at any point and say, hey, you know what, let's get together. Let's just meet up. Like we met up, what, a couple of weeks ago at Hell's
yeah.
Kitchen. And it was just a beautiful way for us to just check in on one another, see how everything's going, and have some amazing food.
Mhm.
So that's what you have your tribe to do. Now here we go, Key. Key says, How do you navigate building your business when former military friends and colleagues enter the same niche? And what mindset or approach helps maintain both professional relationships and a competitive edge? Mm.
I'm dealing with that right now, and it's so crazy you asked that question. I don't know if I don't know if you know Dr. Radiance Rose. She's
Oh
on my
yeah, I
Facebook.
do. I do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she spoke on that today. She said, a lot of people are doing the same thing, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we really aren't. We really aren't.
No.
And everybody's doing what they have planted and what they are growing, right? That's what
Mhm.
they're doing. It may be leadership development, but when I look at all the successful people out there, that's from our peer group, right? That's out
Yeah.
there, that's doing amazing things. But you also got to figure out what's best for you. This is a
Yes.
billion-dollar business, and I don't care if 450 something, 502 made chief this year, go out next month and create a business. You still are going to be in your own space.
That's
That's
right.
it. You're going to be in your own space. But here's what I would tell Key asked that question.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're going to hear, not to be competitive and be careful, and it's not a competition. You're running a business. It is a competition. And I have to explain that. If I'm Amazon, I'm watching what Microsoft is doing.
Hello.
I'm having meetings on the next in 2025, 2026 releases of things that they're doing, patents that they're putting in. I am watching my competitors and what they're doing. I'm watching their moves because if I want to be successful in that space, there are some things I'm going to have to mirror, and there are
Mm.
some things that I'm going to have to do to separate myself. And in the niche, and let's just say in leadership development business, what we are trying, or I wouldn't say even trying, but what we are going to do different in some ways, that we are going to be more focused in the tech space and not
Mhm.
just leadership development. And so there's going to be things you'll see from C2H that's going to be more product focused versus just doing leadership and development. We're going to be pushing out products and certain things that allows us to be in the tech space early. We're not waiting for 2026. We're developing things right now that we're launching. Hopefully, I would say prayerfully, once everything goes through patents and so forth, that we are launching something within 45 days. That'll help organizations. That is going to be our focus. Find out what your niche is, but also
Mhm.
what separates yourself from the pack. And it's
That's
okay
right.
if you're doing something different.
I 100% agree. Period. Like Miriam says.
Mhm.
Miriam says period. And here, listen, Key. Um, no one could do it like you can. I ain't see nobody's graphics look anywhere close to what you produce. Okay, you make people look so amazing, and the characters and the caricatures, that's just one aspect of what you can do. And here's the other thing. I live maybe less than a mile away from restaurants that all sell the same thing. Okay, we got Slim Chicken, Raising
Mhm.
Cane, Chick-fil-A. Okay, they all in a small little vicinity
Mhm.
of each other. And you know what happens? People get to choose where they want to go. There are lines for all of those fast food restaurants. People
Mhm.
are getting the chicken that they want. And
Oh, yeah.
so that's the other part of business. Business is about people that you know, trust, and like. And everyone, if they're doing the same thing, I'm in the personal branding space, image consultants. There's a whole lot of folks doing the same thing that I'm doing. And it's not about what everyone is doing, it's how you do it. It's how you do it. And that's what they're coming to you for. So never get caught up into everybody's doing everything outside of me. Focus on what you do and you do it well. All right. You do it so well that people are like, whoa, wait a minute. We know somebody. Don't call nobody else. We're gonna go to her specifically. So that's
Yeah.
what I want to share with you.
First, I do have to say one thing though. When my core team meets up and we discuss what others are doing, right? That's a half hour. That's a half hour, maybe 15, 20 minutes. But the majority of our time is focusing on what we are doing. Like you don't have, if you're building something successful, you're not really focused on what
You should
everyone's
not.
doing. You're keeping in touch with what the competitive environment is, but
Uh,
you focused on what y'all are doing. And let me tell you,
mhm.
your plate is busy. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have a lot of time to be focused on what everybody else is doing. My time,
Yep,
we are focused on where we're headed, what goals we're trying to reach, and what are we missing, what barriers we have in place, and how do we fix it.
that's
That
right.
is that is the majority of our discussions every day.
Yeah. I agree. That's what discussions I now y'all, I don't have a team. I'm a team of one. Like, Casey over here, he got like all these team folks on parole. I'm over here like, okay, what do we got going on in here? So yeah, but it's so true. You're focused on what you're doing, and it's not so necessarily what everybody else is doing. And so Rico has a comment here too, and he says, indeed, you always need to know what the competition is doing. Um, so and Key's giving us fire bombs, of course. Now Key got another question for us. Okay, Marcus has got a comment, and then we'll go to the question. Marcus says this particular topic needs its own show. LOL. You know what, Marcus? I think so too. I think I need to have you on the show too, and we're gonna have just a full conversation. We're just gonna get all the CEOs on one.
Look,
We
look, you ain't.
have a
Hey,
big old
Marcus.
Zoom
Look, let me tell you something. Marcus gonna break the internet, girl. Look, love talking to that brother.
Me too. It's like, what is he doing? Okay. Okay, Key. She says, okay, last one, maybe. LOL. After serving in the military for over 20 years, how did you redefine your sense of identity outside the uniform? And what advice do you have for others struggling to separate their personal identity from the military role? You want to go? Or you?
I'll tackle it. For me, it's the universe has a way of humbling you.
Mm,
The one thing that and matter of fact, I believe me and Marcus had this conversation if I can recall. Um, for me, my phone rang a lot from the jobs I've had, going to the Pentagon, the things that we were doing, to the point when I said I was retiring, those calls kind of minimized,
mm,
right? And then
mhm.
I can tell you about month 4, I wasn't getting calls anymore because I cannot give you the same level of service you need to do certain things in your military career.
Yeah.
That was humbling to me. And now the identity I thought I had, where I was still looking at evaluations, helping people do this. I was still in the mix, but the,
Hmm.
the phone call stopped. It
Yeah.
humbled me. It made me
Yeah.
realize, like, man, what what am I going to do? Like, what am I focusing on? Because this part of me, they're going to detach fully. Now, majority of my conversations, and I would say for military folks that do give me calls, we're not talking about military stuff anymore while they're in. We're
Mm-mm.
not. And
Nope.
so it has a way of redefining you overall, because you don't have that anymore. Now, what you're left with is how you're going to pick up the pieces and figure out what you're going to do. And I would tell you, start thinking about that now. Don't wait till you retire.
No, don't. I also agree with you. Like the phone calls will stop. People won't really necessarily engage because they know you're retiring. But that sense of identity is something that I went through. And Key, one of the things that I did specifically was go into that closet and take out all them polo shirts and all them khaki brown pants, all that stuff that they gave us, and said, hey, because I was like, that's not who I am at my core. Like at my core, I'm a vibrant, fresh. I want to be fly out here in these streets. So I got to update this wardrobe. And when I started to build my wardrobe, and it is just one little simple thing, but the act of doing that allowed me to take myself out of this uniform that I was so accustomed to wearing every single day, and to really figure out, like, at the core, who am I? I changed my hair, y'all. Y'all know
Mhm.
I didn't have these braids and all this other stuff going on. I went all in, and I'm now really feeling comfortable with myself outside that. And now I can really tell people who I am. I am Rochelle. I am not Chief Master Sergeant so and so. I don't even know the last time I've even said that. You know what I mean? Like that
But,
stuff just goes by the wayside. I'm just like, ugh.
but Rochelle, but at the same, I look at her question, but I also believe that it's okay if you want to have that military. I see here this military role, this personal identity still being involved in the military or still being militant in some ways. That's
Yeah.
if that's what you choose as your next identity, that's okay. I mean, we have chiefs that are locked in, still doing, still doing chief stuff in the military, right? Like that's okay. You don't have to run away from it. That's who we are. But some of us are choosing to say, "Hey, I am Dr. Castille now. I am Chief Master
Uh-uh.
Sergeant
That,
retired now." No, so
yeah, 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 yeah.
we're choosing to say, "Oh, I'm Mister," and I think that's okay too. But if that identity is who you are deep in core, and you don't want that to be adjusted or changed, that's okay too. We don't
Yeah.
have to run away from something that we did for 20, 29 years. I'm gonna always be a chief. I'm gonna always be an airman, right? I'm gonna always be, but don't try to run away from it. Just let things come as it should.
Yeah. Now I don't run away from it, but it's not
Mhm.
the first thing that comes out my mouth. It is not.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Especially when I'm in spaces where I'm trying to get like I want people to know me for who I am as
Mhm.
opposed to what I was doing for so many years. Now, if in conversation it gets to like what were you doing for the past,
Mhm.
so many years, then I share. But I really feel like to get back to me, like
Mhm.
who I am and what I like and what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about, there needed to be a process and I had to go through the process. Was I crying a lot? Yes, I
Mhm.
was, because it's
Oh
a
yeah.
loss. Okay. I did grieve for the loss of my career. And I think that was normal. And more I hear that that's what people do, and it's okay. Right? It's okay. We've got a lot of comments, Keith. We just got a lot. Um, Corey, hey Corey, thank you for being in the building on the show. You go hungry looking at someone else's plate.
That's
That's
so
Miss
true.
Granny. Granny, right? It is true. Donnell says, follow one course until successful. Let's
Mhm.
focus
That's
on the one
focus.
thing, right?
Mhm.
And master that. And be the go-to for that. Um, I absolutely love that and agree with that.
Mhm.
Um, oh, and so does Allison.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, my sister from another mister. Okay, Mary Ann in the building. Now, Mary Ann's been on my show twice, y'all. Okay, so go back on the YouTube channel. She gives a lot. And so she says competition is the death of joy. Focus on your conviction and your alignment.
You know
Absolutely.
what? I think that's a pause right there because when Marianne comes online,
Ooh,
I remember, and Marianne, don't throw punch me, okay? Because I'm thinking of someone who's been living in her alignment for years. I've been knowing her for a long time, but when we was
mhm.
at Keesler, I remember she started a business when she was still in, right? She
Yeah,
was focusing on doing those things while she was in because she had a passion for those things. And
yeah,
one thing I've always said about her was that man, she is courageous and she is bold.
yeah,
And a lot of us don't have that. We more focused on getting this thing done, but then the thing that you're in alignment with, you're like, nah, I'm gonna wait till retirement. I'm gonna wait till later on with that. But I just applaud her for the things I've watched her do and continue to do. And
oh
she's
yeah.
one of the boldest, most courageous people I know.
Oh my
That's it.
gosh.
Oh yeah.
She is like, y'all follow Marianne. Okay. She's doing the most and she does them very well. And, me and her went into business at one time when I retired. She decided, hey, I'm not doing that no more. So I said, I'm not doing that either. All right. Because if you're not doing it, I'm not doing it because I appreciate her hustle. I appreciate her grind. I appreciate what she believes in. And that's what you have to do when you are going after things that other people aren't doing. You know what I mean?
Oh
You,
yeah.
you are a risk taker. Marcus says he's here for, okay, Marcus, I will arrange it. We'll coordinate. We'll have a bigger venue. We get all the CEOs up in here and we'll just have a full fledged conversation. Miriam says that part. I don't know which one she said that part for, but maybe competition is the death of joy. Miriam, you have to let me know which one that you were saying it to. Natalie says absolutely. Kim says yes, you lose part of who you are when you retire from the military. You do. Okay, Marion says your military role is a borrowed title that will dissipate as soon as you retire. If your military service was truly planning on serving others from a place of love, you've established that identity without it being attached to your role. Okay?
Yeah.
It's true.
That's so true. Yeah.
And Natalie says for her, it was her nail color. I agree. You know, I done pinked out too. I was like, yeah, I can do whatever I want now. Man, that sounds like a grieving process. It is a grieving process. I think a lot of times people don't see it as a loss. You see retirement as I get to do whatever now I want to. I have freedom. I can, create the schedule. But then you realize what you've known for so long, the structure, the processes, the system, how it's set up. And now you kind of, navigated through that and been successful through that. There is a loss in that. And she says, when you find another, go ahead.
Oh, sure. The one thing I was going to say was I remember speaking to a very senior person years back, and I was, I was explaining some of the things I was working and doing in the military, right? Like, oh man, I'm doing this and we're doing that. And he says, Casey, let me give you the best advice, you need to hear at this particular time. He says, you don't own anything. He said, that's what he said. He said, you do not own anything. So anything you create, anything you do within this space, you talking like it's yours and it's your baby. Like this ain't your baby. And I heard that the moment I got to the Pentagon, right? And it shaped my thinking at the Pentagon. So as I was building something, creating something, and if a new person comes in and was like, hey, that don't sound right, that's not good. I stopped defending because you know what? It's not mine.
It's not yours.
And so for me, the grieving process, I felt like when I retired, I didn't own nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Versus where I think when you do retire and you feel like, oh man, I created this product, this thing is here, my name is on it, and you stay attached to it.
Yeah.
It's hard to let go. And I felt that I didn't have to do that because it wasn't mine to own. Right.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it, because he's right or she's right. Whoever told you that, they're right. You don't. So, but when you retire and you want to do something on your own, you get to own it. You just need to make sure you have these trademarks on it, y'all. Because, there's a lot of things going on out here, but that's another show. And Kim says, but you find another better identity when you go get out. So true. And Key's giving you props on your doctor. Okay. Doctor. All right. Let's see here. Goodness, y'all are just here for this conversation. I love y'all. It's crazy, but I liked when someone said that they never knew I was in the military. Felt like I transitioned very well. Yeah, I love that too, Queen. I don't know why, but I just do. And it's like a reinvention of yourself. Like you don't have to be defined just by your military service, right?
Well, people don't think that she served because she's a little ratchet. That's why. I'm just playing that.
Yeah, he's just playing. I'm saying he just played because I don't want him to get hurt up in there. Okay. Rico says, okay, then doctor. June, thank you so much for being here tonight with us. You don't have to run from it. It just literally falls to the side. Your resume continues to grow and there's less and less room for your military career.
Yeah.
You know what?
June.
That right there is so powerful. Because if you are doing things in this next chapter, it does. Like you said, Keith, we don't talk about military when we get together. That's not what we're talking about anymore, because we're looking at the future and what is to come, right? Mimi, hey, Queen.
Oh, and I do have to give Mimi a shout out because she creates our merch for C2H, and she created this one that says, if they're not like us, on the backside it says teach them. So Mimi, thank you so much for being our collaborator, girl.
Yes. Look, Mimi gonna have to make me some shirts too, because I'm like, I've been
Look.
holding out. I need some sleigh shirts, and she know what to do. Mimi, she in there printing stuff out. I just like I look at her stuff. I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I need to get with her. But I absolutely love that. So thank you so much, Mimi, for being here and hooking up KC with that T-shirt. Dante says what I missed. Dante, okay, first of all, thank you for being here. Okay, but we've been on here since 7 o'clock, so we've been talking for a minute. So you're gonna have to do the rewind. We're gonna be on here for a little bit more because we have a few things more to talk about. So thank you so much for being here. No doubt, he loves us. Corey's and Billy. Okay, Mimi said, I took time away from everything, total disconnection to find me. That's what helped me. Yeah, you do. You have to take the time. And I know a lot of people, like when I saw people like retire on one day and the next day they would go into the same job, but as a contractor or GS, I was just so confused. I'm just so confused. I'm like, what's happening here? You know? I needed a break. I
You
needed
know
a break.
what, Rochelle? One thing for me, and as I'm seeing the notes here and people bringing in, because I'm in the leadership development space, one thing that I had to deliberately and intentionally not do was go to the same audiences I was doing when I was in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one is if, and this is one thing that my mentor told me is that if you're going to redesign yourself,
Yeah.
you also have to be selective on what you do. And it's not saying you don't do none of it. It's
Yeah.
just sometimes you just have to kind of back away for a little bit and then create kind of the market where you want to go. Because if you're still doing that thing that you were doing when you were in, guess
Yeah.
what? That is who you are, and you won't be able to get away from that, and you won't be able to expand. And I thought that advice was very deep. And I turned down a lot of things because of that. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let me focus on kind of a rebranding, if you will, because I wanted to look different. I wanted to be different, especially when I hit the market. Right.
Yeah. I got the same advice. I was told go network,
Hmm.
all right, and network like crazy and see what's across the DMV.
Hmm.
And I have been, I don't know, probably over, and I'm not lying, y'all. Over the past few years, it's probably well over 200 networking events. Um, and I really saw like different ways to recreate myself
Hmm.
or to present my business in a certain way to the right people. Because not everything that I do is for everybody. All right. And so you got to be able to talk to the right audience and and that way you've got to go out and you've got to figure out where these people are and what they do. So you can't just be in your house or thinking, hey, they're going to come to you. That's not going to happen. All right, so you're going to have to get out there. um Marianne says, I appreciate the love, of course, queen. Natalie, hashtag genuine. Okay. Miriam said competition is healthy, it's necessary. Yes, it is. You got to know what's going on, all right? And you got to know your competition. Yes, you do. All right. If you're not looking into that, then I just need to, you know, I don't know, figure that out. Okay, Dante, I somewhat agree. Losing yourself while competing diminishes joy. Champion mentality makes you forget what you're a champion of until you realize it was never about beating others, just defeating doubters. Then you compete with self, and it becomes the greatest joy. You take humble steps to defeat your vulnerabilities and strengths. Sorry for the word poetry. LOL.
Now Dante hit me in the feels with that one. If I'm picking up what he's throwing down when he says this, you're defeating. He says it's never about beating others, just defeating doubters. And that was a part of me as I'm building this company,
Mm-hmm.
where it was about showing people like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get here and then you realize like, man, boy, bye. Like, really, like you ain't got time for all that. It's like, you know what? One thing I realized,
Yeah.
You may think people thinking about you, but people ain't thinking about you. You're not on people's hearts and minds like that to be them worrying about you and what your business is doing. So I had to really get out my own way. Like, okay, dude, seriously, it ain't about other people. It's about challenging myself and how far I can take this with this
Absolutely.
idea and the things that we're trying to get to.
Yeah. Because you can lose doubt in believing in
Hmm.
yourself easily,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I too agree with Dante when he says it's not really about competing in others and making them see you, if you will. Um, this is really about what you can do with what you have,
Yeah. I
you
think
know?
Dr. Ed did it. Yeah. And that's it. And I would say that's everyone has their moniker, they have their brand and what they're doing. And me, for us, we just want to make a difference in the world. And sometimes making a difference don't bring money in, right? I mean,
Yeah,
look how many people I know that's doing great mission work around the globe, and it's not bringing money in, but you know what? It's making a difference. Now, I think there's a balance between that, but at the end of the day, it's about doing meaningful work when you can wake up every day knowing that you have changed a life, you've changed an organization, and you've made something better. To me, that's the life worth living.
yeah, I agree. Purpose, finding different ways to get to know you and to grow in that. It's just absolutely like for me, like my mind has shifted so much.
Mhm.
Key says, LOL, okay. In your opinion, do you think the military culture is becoming more supportive of service members who actively serve while running multiple businesses? Or do you feel the current generation's entrepreneurial mindset is ahead of the culture's adaptation?
Hmm. And I go back and I think of people who were in business, doing businesses, running businesses. I believe it's no different than it was 10, 15 years ago. And I'll go back to Marianne discussion. I knew Marianne was running multiple businesses back then. But let me tell you something. When I don't know how tall Mary is, but when she walk in that room with that starch uniform, looking clean and fresh, I mean, from top to bottom, like, look, you knew she got the job done. You knew she took care of people. You knew she was a good leader. And you know what? She had a business. But
Sure
if
did.
your business comes into your workplace, then you're probably not handling business right. That's just
Yeah.
me. Not knocking anything you do, Keith. Not to you. I'm just saying overall. If your business is coming into your business, your job, then there's a mismatch somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what I believe off of your question when people have issues.
Yeah. I agree too. Because I knew a lot of airmen, people that I worked with that had businesses, and no one was in there trying to throw shade or throw something in there and
Mhm.
saying that they were running a business and serving. So I think that's kind of old and that's
Mhm.
not really a thing anymore. Um, so unless you're seeing something differently, let us
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it might be something different.
Hmm. Okay, Natalie's laughing. Chris, don't come for Natalie. Hey, Dwayne, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in here live off of LinkedIn. He says after 41 years, 4 months, and 15 days of service, he quickly realized that he would be replaced because the machine had to keep moving.
I agree, and it's supposed to.
It's
And if
supposed
we, it's supposed to. And as Dwayne said, we think it's supposed to be any other kind of way, then we are misled and misinformed. It's
to. No,
supposed to
right.
keep going. It
Yeah,
is built that way.
it is. When we allow the ego to get in our way of things are just going to start falling apart once I
Mm-mm.
leave.
Nope.
Please, okay? They figure it out. Things just keep rolling. It's like throw somebody else in and like, hey, you're
And,
next up. So
and oh, by the way, that person behind you better than you.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's it. And I'm
Right.
okay with that.
And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that too. Okay, yay, thank you. My pleasure. I think that's about the t-shirt. You said Natalie could still a little ratchet, but her man love it. Yep.
Hey.
All right, Dada. So this conversation has been so good. I forgot about the time. I know, right? That's what. Listen, me and Casey already said that before we got on the show. We are like, this thing is gonna run over an hour. Okay, I just already feel it because the conversation is just gonna be so good. Keith says agreed. Okay, Dante. Key Campbell and I came in together, and we're gonna ride to the sunset, unchanged in heart, but forever impacted through experience. No, what's that one? That's a hat.
No cap.
That's the
No
name of
cap. No
no cap.
cap.
Okay, no cap. I'm sorry. Okay, look,
Look, I
I'm
just
just
learned that today too. Like no cap. Oh, that's a blue cap. Okay.
I'm gonna be using that one. Okay, Dante. Pleasing people will never be the objective. We have a purpose. Yes, we do. So I know we get into pleasing people, but that's not what we're doing anymore, right? And I don't make New Year's resolutions, but for those that want to make a New Year's resolutions, put that into your play.
Yeah.
Stop pleasing everybody. Okay, Glenroy. Thank you so much for being here, Glenroy. Joining us live tonight. He says to deal in the destruction of but either internally or from external sources based in each person's degree of faith. I personally don't compete with anyone except the best being myself.
I
Yes.
100% agree with that.
Yes. Compete
Folks.
with yourself.
Oh yeah, I tell you when COVID was running rampant, right? And I was looking at man, all I'm doing here is sitting up in this place. I can't go nowhere, can't talk to people, can't be around people. I said, you
Oh,
know what? How do I challenge myself? I went back to school. That's what I
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to be better than anybody. It wasn't to get X, Y, and Z. It was really to compete against myself and to say,
Yeah.
can I do something? Can I do something I never thought I could do? Yeah.
Yeah. I think COVID, as bad and hard and crazy those times were, and lots of loss and lots of things that went on,
Mhm.
it also allowed you an opportunity to get with yourself and
Mhm.
find out how you can either improve yourself, change the way that you were doing life in general. And I think by, self-development, personal development is one of those things that sometimes we neglect. But it's so powerful when we do. It's really just so good for us to take the time to do that. Oh, none of these are for me. I'm just adding conversation and perspective. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Then you tear an Achilles tendon and realize there is no best. There's only the best you can give.
I
Oh,
agree.
my husband also tore his Achilles tendon too. So, yes, he would probably agree with that. I thank you both for being vulnerable and making time for this conversation. You're absolutely welcome.
Yeah.
It's just good just to come on here. And again, this is a family affair.
Mhm.
And when I say family, um, those that put on the uniform, we're a different breed. We're just a different breed. And those that support us, they understand what we've had to go through. And I could not wait till we had this conversation because I knew we were gonna, you know, pick some things apart a little bit, kind of fill out what the audience was, and y'all were
Mhm.
bringing it. So thank you so much for being here with us live. So Keith, you are definitely in this path of just breaking ground. Okay, you're in this breaking ground phase right now. And so, what is your goal? Like, give me one goal. No, not have to be a bunch of goals. One goal that you have for your personal and for your professional life over the next 3 months.
Personal is to add value in any room I walk into, whether it's talking to my son, talking to my wife, talking to friends, being in a room, just adding value. Um, for the organization, for the company, it's making a difference in the world. It's the
Yeah.
next 3 months is really set for because we're legitimately launching in the next couple of weeks. So I mean, although I put some things out there and folks see me working and doing a lot of things, we officially have well, not officially, but we've kind of stalled certain progress because when you're building a business, you got to get some lawyers, you got to get some
Yep.
you got to get some trademarks, you got certain products, you got certain things you have to do, and you don't want to do things too fast because
Yeah,
you'll probably end up paying a whole bunch of money, right?
absolutely.
Um, I would say the next 3 months as a company is really for us to really navigate the space of the endless possibilities. And what I mean by that is we there's a lot of things that you're going to see that we're going to be doing. I mean,
Yeah,
from in education to, I mean, you can name 1,000 things, right? In IT and so forth. But really it's about how are we waking up every single day and we're doing something for the world and then we're giving back.
yeah,
If we accomplish that and we're on the right track with that over the next 3 months, I'm going to be happy in the position that I'm sitting in.
yeah,
But also building this right. That's the goal I have. I mean, that's what I would say would be mine.
yeah. And I know that those things are going to happen because that's what we do. Okay. We make these things happen. But I genuinely wish you all the best. I know you're going to be very prosperous this year. I know that 2025 is going to bring you, Natalie, your son, your family in a whole, all the things that you've been building up to this point in your life. And so, what is it that you want to leave with our audience? I have one more question for you, but before we get to that, what would you leave this audience with?
I would say don't be afraid to dream,
Mm,
but just as equally important, don't be afraid to execute that dream. I watched myself over, I would say, a 3 4 month time frame where I was so focused on wanting to be a part of something else, right? Or man, I
mm,
gotta find a job, I gotta do these things, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And I almost missed an opportunity to bet on myself because I was so focused on doing other things or being wanting to be so dependent upon other things that I can do that would be for sure.
yeah,
And what I would tell the audience and people listening is don't be afraid to bet on yourself. Dream your dreams, but wake up with execution. Um, we're starting off, right? I've seen more failure in starting my company off than successes.
yeah.
But you can't tell because I wake up every day like, hey, we winning, right? And
We
I
win
feel
it.
it like we winning, right? Because I woke up. But I
Right.
always but it's more failures than progress every single day because that's what it takes, right?
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to fail.
yeah,
And I would just urge people, create a support system, build a support system. And I think about people that you have online, and I thank you once again, Rochelle, like connecting me to Dr. X, right?
mhm.
Connecting, finding, Donnell Johns, right, in the middle of Woodbridge, and all. I mean, man, let me tell you, it's the people you connect with that find something in you that you don't see in yourself,
Yeah,
and don't be afraid to let people probe you just a little bit to figure out what you're working with, right? Like
yep,
open up, right? And then they may see something in you that you don't see in yourself, and that gives you the drive every single day. So I think, one, you and those two brothers, right, that giving me opportunities and future opportunities that we're doing, and then everybody else who's reached out and who's lent a hand. I'll tell you one person in particular is my business mentor, and I tell you, look, I brought this guy a 15-page business plan. He said you need to tear that up. And I was like, I'm thinking like, but that's what they told me to do. They told me to have all this business plan, to have all this ready because you're doing the business, and I want to make sure that I'm neat and orderly. He said, look, man, what you're doing today may not be what you're doing tomorrow. I tell
that's
people
right.
be fluid in the first year.
Yep,
And luckily I did that because the things that we thought we were going to do
yep,
6 months ago, we have abandoned that in so
yeah,
many ways, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, we have morphed into something different, but it's totally different. It's more refined because we allow ourselves to be flexible in the spaces that we are most educated in.
yeah. I love that you said that. Um, we can get caught up
Mhm,
in the plans,
mhm,
especially from the military mindset. We're going to follow it to the T, and
Mhm.
this is the outcome that it's supposed to get, or the results that we're supposed to have.
Yeah.
And when we in business, it's much different than that. And even in retirement, it's much different than that. So I could be planning to go somewhere, and then, Dominique calls and said, "Hey, we're going to go here, we're going to do this." And it's about being flexible
Mhm.
within the moment, right? And allowing yourself the space to do that. So I absolutely agree with that. Keith, we have one comment from Glenroy here. He says, "You add value to any room you walk into already. As long as you speak into people and situations constructively, the value you bring into a room is unmatched today. Thoughtful takeaways and input don't bring a cost. That makes a space valuable." So powerful.
Yeah. Powerful.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Glenroy.
Thank
We
you,
love you
Glenroy.
for
Yeah.
that. Yes. And Chevy says, "Oh, yes, in the beginning it's a struggle, but we keep going." Yes, that's
Yeah.
what we do. Facts, things change and we find our groove. I'm in the groove after trying different things. And that's what it's about. It's an honor to be connected to Dr. Casey, Dr. X, and Rochelle VGA family. This experience for me, like the journey that I've been on, has been absolutely game changing and a lifesaver for me.
Mhm.
I understand that I love to connect people. I love to do these things that I do, these talk shows that I create.
Mhm.
And it was just a way for me to create these platforms for us. And so if I can be a conduit to anyone's success, that's what one of my purposes in this next chapter is. And so
Yeah.
absolutely loving this. So y'all, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to ask Keith one more question. And that is, if and when, because if God gives us a days, this is what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
hoping for it. Um, on our 80th birthday party, so we all going to try to get there, right?
Mhm.
But what would you want your family and friends to say about you?
That's deep. That's deep.
It
Because
is.
I ask that question in different variations when I do business, right? And um, I would say two things. He cared and he gave it his all. That's it. And if anybody know me in my military career, that is the two things that I've always tried to do and emulate at all times. That I care, and that you better believe I'm gonna give 100% of my time, everything I have to make sure that that whatever it is goes the way it's supposed to go. And if I mess up, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. But caring is the start.
Yeah.
Caring, and I gave it my all. Yep,
Yeah.
that was deep.
Well, yeah, it is deep, but you know what? That's what we strive to every single day. So, I really appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight. I do want to shout out to all of our audience members, one by one, because I think that's important. Miriam, Tracy, of course, Natalie, Chevy, Allison, Donnell, Jeba, Rodney, Tammy, Magnolia. Well, it says Kelsha.
That's my real sister.
Yeah, yeah. That's her name, Kelsha.
Kelsha, yes.
Yeah. So she was here. Dr. X, Rico, Capri, Kim. Who else we got? Amanda, Marcus, Key.
I can't wait for
Um,
that show with Marcus. That's gonna
yeah,
be
I
that's
know, right? That's gonna be fire right there. Corey. Corey was in the building. Marion. Um, let's see here. Glenroy, June, Mimi, Dante. Look, I'm gonna make sure I get you out called out here, because I know that you could be spending your time anywhere else, but you decided to spend with us tonight, and we were
thank
on
y'all so much.
here
Yeah.
for a minute. Um, So y'all just know, okay, that if you need anything, right, what we spoke to, you just reach out. Please make sure you share, because sharing is caring. Okay. Share this episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right. This year is going to be like none other year. I am making sure that I'm reaching out to the heavy hitters, okay, that are in our circle that can give us inspiration, drop some gems in here so that way we can all better ourselves in this year, because this year is going to be absolutely slay amazing. I'm just going to tell you right there,
Love it.
right
I
now.
love it.
Okay. And Natalie says, thank you. All right. So we appreciate you. We will be back here on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can find me on Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Rise and Slay Show, because I'm extra, so I do a lot of things, right? But we will be back here for you. We want you all to be safe because I know that the weather is going to be changing overnight.
Oh, yeah.
So stay safe, stay cool, or not cool, but stay warm in your homes, okay? And we will see you all soon. So thank you so
Thank
much.
y'all. Thank y'all so
Dot
much.
said slay amazing year. So hold on, Casey, before we log off. So keep on slaying until you can't slay no more, y'all. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.